In this video, we're going to talk about what do you need to change in order to adapt and survive in this world. Now, what do I mean by this world? I'm not saying the world is dying. I'm not saying that there is an apocalypse. I'm just saying things are changing. And whenever the environment is changing, the individual inside the environment or part of the ecosystem needs to also change in order to adapt. That's the whole conclusion. And I have a full video. I published it last week in which I build on this idea that the world is changing and how do you achieve clarity in chaos. So if you want to go watch that first, go watch it. But now in this video, I'm building on top of that. So the environment is changing. Clearly, the world is changing rapidly. What do you need to adapt in order to survive? And this is what we're going to address. In case you don't know me, my name is Alan. I'm a life coach, but that doesn't matter. What really matters is that people pay me good money in order to talk to them, and you get this for free. Taking responsibility on changing your future is really where you start. But you see, most people actually, they don't really have the courage to start anything because they feel like, I'm too small. What can I do? The world is too big for me. I'm like, nothing to do for me. And I think the first point to start would be really to trust yourself, that even if you don't know exactly where to start, what to do, at least trust yourself that you're going to figure it out. And if for as long as you put your mind on something and you go through the process that I'm going to describe in this video, you will figure it out. You will be prepared for anything. So that means that in this video, you're going to understand what mostly everyone is doing. And the reason why I want to show that first is because I want you to see your actions in antithesis or in opposition to what mostly everyone is going to do. Because most people will take some sort of actions or no actions, and the results are going to be something that you definitely do not want. So we look at that first, and then we look at, okay, what do you need to do? If this is what the world is preparing or heading towards, what are you going to do? So we're going to cover all of that. You see, when we talk about agency, that means to be able to act without full clarity. So that means that, look, I don't know what I'm doing for sure. Like I don't have certainty. I'm not really validated by anything, but at the same time, I'm still going to act. And you might think to yourself, but okay, but how do I act when I don't have clarity? That's exactly the question to ask, because you don't need full clarity. You just need a direction. And for as long as you have a process in order to set a direction that you can trust, and you have a process by which you are going to put all the pieces together, again, a process that you can trust, you have enough for you to start and take action. So you don't need full clarity or validation. You just need to trust yourself and make sure that you have a process that you are constantly improving. You see, the point in having agency is to replace hoping for better with trusting a process that you own and you constantly improve. Hope is not really the way to achieve a better future. It's just like hope it's just like a better way to wait for things to happen. But that's a terrible way of being, because me personally, I don't like waiting. So in the last video, by the way, I pointed about, and I'm going to go through this briefly today, that you absolutely need a process. When you don't have clarity, you don't have certainty, you need a process in order to trust your judgment. And I was pointing to the fact that you need a process of having high quality input. That means that you are going to filter out the noise and select only for signal. Then you need the process of reflection, where you sit down and you consider the information, you consider what, like the input that you are getting. And then you also have a process for decision making, where you can look at what this looks like, and then you are ready to change things from considering, looking at it, and doing things. It's between I'm thinking about it, I'm doing something about it. Well, That's a better way to live, in my opinion, because with this process, you don't need to hope. You don't need to predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. You don't need to predict. You just need to participate. You need to take an active role into that future, your future, and build it. And I think that makes for such a better experience no matter what happens. So that's really definitely a better way to start. And I think that the most important place to start, and this is where people right now are kind of lost, to be honest. It's like you need to decide your purpose. You need to decide a purpose. You know, when people speak about purpose, they think like, oh, I need to search and find, I need to search somewhere outside about my purpose. I need to search for my purpose. But I would propose that your purpose is not something that you search and find, but it's rather something that you set and decide. You can decide your purpose. Just let that sink in. You don't need anyone. You don't need anything. You just need yourself. And that's it. Because once you decide your purpose, that is going to inform every other decision, every other direction, every other consideration. Should I get myself into this project or not? Should I associate myself with this person or not? Purpose informs everything from high level. So if I would be you, I would start with that. And that points to having like a central or like your locus of control being with you. That means that you are in an equanimous state. You achieve equanimity. That means that no matter what happens outside, no matter how things are shifting, things are going up, down, you are still going to be steady. You are still going to know exactly what you're doing. You're going to pursue intentionally, and you are going to continue. Well, that's a very big difference than how most people live their lives, especially right now when things are confusing, is because their emotional state, their life, their overall experience is kind of like at the mercy of the elements. Like if things go well, people feel good. If things don't go well, everyone is crashing and burning. And I think it's so much important for you to develop like a sense of like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to figure it out because I'm taking action. And even if I don't know everything, I have the ability in myself to figure out even the unknowns. And I take comfort in that. I take relief in the fact that I can figure it out. And that's very important. And that means that anything that comes from your actions, it's yours. You're going to own your own outcomes because, well, you have a process, you try things, you do things, not everything is going to work. In fact, most of it is not going to work, but you own the outcomes and the lessons. And if you have a process for reflection, you're going to be able to integrate those lessons from those outcomes into yourself. So you're going to be better and you're going to be doing better next time. Now let's talk about what most people are going to do. I want you to kind of see a little bit of a glimpse of what most people are going to do. And this is what I call the trap map. Most people are going to follow and listen blindly to their favorite influencer and follow exactly what this person is telling, without consideration, without critical thinking, without evaluation, without reflection. And what do you think will happen? That's a disaster because you cannot let anyone to decide your life. You are the only one who has to decide your life. And most people justify this because they feel like, oh, you know what? I'm not so competent as this person. It looks like they have figured it out. And I feel like I'm somewhere so behind. So I'm going to follow blindly. I'm like, look, there are some cases in which that would be a good idea, but it's not so common. And it's not sustainable for a lifetime. That means that you owe to yourself that you have to become the person that you can lead yourself. Like you have to become a leader in your own life first. And that's something that you have to develop. Here is another thing. Most people ask their favorite LLM, they ask their ChatGPT and Claude and whatever, Gemini and others, they ask the same questions. And guess what happens? When you ask the same questions, you get the same answers. Now imagine, what nobody's telling you is that millions of people right now, in the privacy of their home or whatever, they engage with like ChatGPT and they ask some questions, but because their questions are really weak, guess what? They are going to get roughly the same answers, believing that they have something special. But in reality, they don't. Millions of people now, they are going to roughly act the same based on the same conclusions because they get the same answers, and that is because they ask the same questions. So from that, you have to kind of like think a little bit in advance. Whenever you talk to your favorite LLM and you ask a question, first, never settle for the first question. Like don't just come up with a question, like the obvious question, ask the question, be satisfied with the answer and take that as truth. That would be the worst thing that you can do. First of all, what ChatGPT is giving you is not truth, is a perspective based on what you're asking. Your question literally frames the answer, because when you are asking a question, you're adopting a certain angle. And it's important for you to recognize that. ChatGPT doesn't give you truth. It gives you angles. It gives you a perspective. It gives you literally one little angle onto what you're asking. And if your questions are general, like most people, your answers that you get are also going to be general, and that's really something that you want to stay away from, because you don't want to go where everyone is going. That's really something for you to consider. In order for me to have different actions, I need to get different answers. That means I have to ask different questions, and that also means that I have to think differently. That's one way to look at it. Like, I need to think different than most people. Here's another thing that most people do. They're going to continue to do. They're going to continue to distract themselves with mindless entertainment. People have been distracting themselves for years since there is social media, and even before that. So now more and more people, they just waste their life with mindless entertainment. And in a way, they are doing that just because they don't want to really deal with this. They don't want to deal with themselves. They don't want to deal with an uncertain future and the responsibility that would mean for kind of the work that they have to provide. And nobody wants to do that, so they prefer to distract themselves. Then you will, for example, you will be tempted because other people will give up. You will be tempted to think that, you know what, there is no point to even try. There is no point to even try, and there is this kind of like this nihilistic kind of attitude as in like nothing works. Like it's like no matter what I do, I'm not going to have any impact. I'm not going to change anything. This is where kind of like nihilism goes together or meets learned helplessness. And you need to stay away from all of that, because most people will blindly fall into this trap. Most people will give up before they start. And even the ones that they don't adopt this nihilistic kind of lazy view on life, they will still give up because they will feel overwhelmed. They will feel like it's too much. Like it's so much noise. It's so much noise that I don't even know where to start. And that overwhelm just freezes them. So therefore, they don't do anything. Also, most people will follow their favorite guru, money making influencer, and they're going to follow this quick get rich quick schemes. And it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time, because right now that's not what you need to follow. Right now you need to build agency. Right now you have to build yourself, and you build your mental capacity and your mental map and understanding, and being like having a process that keeps you on, like, keeps you on track with what's going on the world. That's what you need. You don't need to follow like get rich quick schemes, because we all know where that goes. But most people, that's exactly what they are going to do. They're going to follow this, like, copy my formula to make $1,000 a day, and they're going to go from formula to formula for days and weeks and months, and that's their life. They're not going to build it themselves. They're going to just make money for other people who sell them empty dreams. So that's not what you're going to do. Now, right now, I want to speak about input, because one big part of the changes that you need to change about yourself would be around input. And that means that you will need to stop wasting your time with mindless entertainment. You will need to stop wasting your time also with just like whatever the algorithm is suggesting you. And that means that you will have to adopt, like, stay away from unintentional or casual consumption and switch that for intentional input. Meaning, go on your YouTube or whatever. Usually people learn on YouTube. Go with an intention, go with a problem, go with something that you really want to solve, and try to find solutions for that. That also means that sometimes, because the algorithm is going to suggest you all sorts of things that you don't want, you're going to have to cut a lot of this. Identify, oh, this video is for someone else. Close. Next. It means that whenever you find something, you're not going to consume it just because it's entertaining or fun. You're going to look at it and be like, okay, is this really going to help me for the purpose that I came here on YouTube to learn? No, cut it. Because that's how it works. Like, it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to just follow the rabbit hole. And then 3-4 hours later, you ask yourself, like, what have I done? And that's exactly the muscle that you have to practice and you have to exercise, just quitting. Like, identifying what is bad content or something that is not really in your intention or in your direction, and then cut it. Next, cut it. And all of that, it's going to help you to be more directional in your life. And that's really very important. Because right now, for example, we have infinite content. We have infinite content, you have infinite options, and where that leads is, to be honest, it freezes you. Because there is too many options, and that freezes your ability to make choices. And that means that you are no longer limited by the amount of information you have access to. You are limited by, and this is what you need to develop, by the filters you have in place to put the barriers between the input when you're bombarded and you're like everything demands for your attention, and you are limited. You can be limited only by the filters that you put in place. Imagine what's the difference between no filters, so therefore your attention goes anywhere where the algorithm wants, where the social media platform directs you, everywhere, but nowhere. And imagine what happens if you have a filter that this filter says like this: I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know what is the next part that I have to build about myself and learn. I know I'm going to be bombarded with distractions, but I already have something in place that will not allow me to do that. Imagine what's the difference. Well, when you are going to spend time on YouTube or whatever, even if you spend like 2 hours, it's going to be good 2 hours. Otherwise, you could spend 20 hours and you might just be like a waste of time. And also what you need to build is what I call like a signal pipe. That means some sort of process that selects only for signal about opening opportunities and emerging industries. You see, usually when jobs disappear or things change, there is some sort of equivalent change and opportunity opening somewhere else, but that happens invisibly. And you need to build a way to be able to spot those signals early on. And the reason for that is because those openings, those opportunities are not going to be announced big title in the news. Oh my God, a new industry is like right now openings and you are the first one to hear about it. So you are early on. No, no. The moment when you see that, you read that, it's already too late. When it's a news about, it's already too late. Your job is to be ahead of that. And that means that you're going to select for certain podcasts, select for certain news channels, and have a process where every day or every week you go through and you select and you filter through them, and then maybe you take some notes and then you go and reflect at the end of the week, and you are going to put all of this in perspective and say like, it looks like, and then you might have an insight. That is exactly what I call by having like a signal pipe. You need a process of good quality input that can help you to draw insight. Now let's talk about identity, because none of this will actually do anything if you don't really have an identity shift. You see, the problem right now is that people are kind of still living with their old identities, and that's why there is so much chaos, because when you see yourself as like a job holder and your whole worth and value is your job title and your role and basically your utility, of course people are feeling very much depressed and down because their certainty, their identity is going away. But that's because we have built weak identities. So one way to look at it is you need to transition between an identity of like job holder or role to a value creator. And that means that you are going to be able to create infinite value, because, well, value creation means you can create anything. A job holder is just like, I'm holding this job, I'm having this career, I'm having this role. The moment when that goes away, all my happiness, all my comfort, all my safety goes away. But if you see yourself as a value creator, then that is infinite. And you can always find new ways to invest in yourself, to grow yourself so you become more valuable. But you see, the mindset shift here that needs to happen is the fact that you need to learn to see yourself as more in order to become more. In order for you to become a value creator, you have to see yourself as, I'm more than just my title, I'm more than just my job. So that means stop anchoring your self-worth into all of this nonsense, because things are going to get very messy. And that means that you're going to have like an adaptive mindset. An adaptive mindset means that you're constantly on a lookout for change and upgrading your view with the purpose of course correction. So having an adaptive mindset, it means that I'm constantly seeing, what view do I need to change or adapt? Where is my view of the world of reality, or maybe reality has shifted and changed slightly, that I need to also match that change in my view, such that based on that, if I have a process of self-reflection and then a process of decision making, then I can make a decision and go do things, change things in reality, because now I know better. And for that, the next mindset shift that you have to have when you think about, oh, I need to become a value creator, you need to understand that value is created in yourself first. And that means you cannot really be a value creator if you are not building value with you. Well, for that, you need to adopt the mindset of like a lifelong learner. It's no longer the case that, well, you head into a career, you learn this for a few years and you become like a master at it and that's it, you are set for life. No, and that's exactly the understanding that you have to let go of. Because right now, in order to become a value creator, you are going to be able to learn quickly new skills. You are going to be able to switch and adapt and change directions quickly and learn new things. So then learning velocity is really a survival skill in here. It means that once you identify a good direction through your process of reflection and input and all of that, you are able to to identify exactly what is the skill that I need to learn and what's the quickest way, what's the fastest way for me to become proficient, to become useful with that skill. But you see, when you do this repetitively, like you do this multiple times or enough time in a row, it means that you have to become good at learning. This is no longer about a skill. This is a meta skill that you have to learn, learning how to learn and picking skills quickly. That's very important. Now, another change, and this one is very important and most people overlook it. It's you should change fear and this feeling of dread, this feeling of like uncertainty, this feeling of like, you know, like you're constantly anxious and like you're uncertain and you're confused and you are worried and you're concerned. You need to switch all of that for curiosity, having fun, exploration. And that means that you identify that, hey, life is a game. I'm here to play. I might as well play well. Well, there is fun in that. There is fun in figuring out something that even if you're forced, let's say you lose your job and that's not fun, but now just because you adopted this mindset that, you know what, I'm curious, how fast can I find a new job? I'm curious, what's the next job that I'm going to get? I'm interested in exploring what else is out there for me. I believe that even if you succeed with both of these approaches, let's say on one approach you're constantly worried, constantly concerned, afraid, and you know, like you pee in the bed before sleep, and in the other approach you have fun and you are curious and you explore and you enjoy the process of figuring this out. Even if you are successful with both of them, like you get the job in both cases or you get whatever you want in both cases, oh my god, it's so much better for you to go through all of that with this mindset. That's why I'm saying you should enjoy the process and nothing less. Now let's talk about building optionality, because in this uncertain future, in order to have a bit more certainty, you need to build more options. And the first mindset here is that you will need to optimize for freedom. You need to optimize for kind of like being nimble, staying light, not committing too deeply, too early, too soon, or for too long, when actually no employer is really committed to you. No job that has been given to you is really committed to you. So I'm saying, even if you get like a job and you get a contract, make sure that that really doesn't lock you in, because what you get in return is not really stability. You get just the illusion of that, but in reality, on your side, you're locked in. If, for example, you might find a better opportunity, you might find something, an opportunity for you to quickly pivot and change, but you cannot because right now you're committed, you're stuck, then that is a problem. So usually whenever you start new projects, please try to think in advance, like think a bit further down the road and see where could this could go wrong. Don't just like evaluate things and proposals and projects and job offers just because, like, don't evaluate them just on the surface, because on the surface you are going to see only what is the positives, only what's the makeup of it that wants to attract you. But I want you to look behind that and go like, wait, what does this mean for my life for the next 3 to 5 years from now? What do I think about the world and where things are going and how things are changing and how that fits into my current understanding? And then make a decision. Don't make rush decisions, because definitely this is not the time. And since we're talking about optionality and building something strong and building safety, I think you need to also build a project that cannot fail. I will give you an example. This is from my own life, and not because I'm bragging, but because it's the only one that I find it relevant. When I started YouTube in January 2026, find my first video where I commit publicly for this to stay 1 year. I'm going to publish every week one video. Although it was very hard in the past, I committed publicly for this. The reason why I did this It's not because I'm expecting followers, subscribers. I'm expecting exactly the opposite because I don't know this and I need to figure it out. But I committed because I knew that I cannot fail. I cannot fail with what is really for me the gold in this endeavor, which is this. If I show up every week and I deliver value in front of the camera and I aim to improve that value and I aim to become an articulate, or like I aim to become a good speaker and to articulate my ideas well in front of the camera. And in privacy, whenever I'm not recording, I practice. This is part of the commitment. I practice on thinking about ideas, writing them down, reorganizing them, trying to make it more condensed, more crystal clear. Try to see how can I deliver this idea better. If I do this for an entire year, it doesn't matter if I get the followers, the subscribers, it doesn't matter. I win anyway. And that's a project that you cannot fail. Search in your own life what could be a project that cannot fail. And if you get whatever you want from that, make that to be the cherry on top. Don't make that to be the thing that you rely on. I don't rely on subscribers. I don't rely on anything. I rely on the very process. We spoke about process that I hold myself accountable to every day. Sit down, write, reflect, try to crystallize the idea when I am in front of the camera, try to do a good job to explain the ideas, make it very clear, and don't repeat myself. Now, emotional regulation becomes a survival skill. This is the next thing for you to understand. You know, until this point, emotions and emotional mastery and emotional regulation used to be something like kind of like a fluff, like a woo-woo thing that, you know, yeah, it's good to master your emotions and blah, blah, blah. But I tell you this, the more unstable the world becomes, the more mastering your emotions becomes a survival skill. Imagine this. Your emotions and your emotional system is the very filter through which you experience everything. You experience the food that you eat, the conversation that you have, even if you take a walk, even if you stay in bed and you don't do anything, even if you watch TV or you are taking a shower. Your emotional system and how you feel about your life and how you, the thoughts that you process and the way you think paints every single moment of your life and your whole experience. Well, now imagine that in a world where everything is changing and your future feels less and less certain and you have more chances to feel insecure about your future and unsure where things are going and unsure of what your future will be like. Well, you can imagine that all of that uncertainty, all of that back and forth, all of that will go through your emotions. So then now, not just that you have to build the future externally, you have to build skill, but you have to also have to learn to manage yourself internally. That is super important because you need to be able to stay grounded when everyone is losing their minds. Imagine, I'm not saying like the world is an apocalypse, oh my God, everyone is dying. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying things are changing and we don't know how they're going to change. And when everyone becomes more chaotic and they lose their footing, imagine how powerful it is if you can be the person that you can be calm, cool, and collected. And you can lead, not just yourself, but if you are that person, you can lead others as well. That's the person that you have to become. So, one other thing you have to develop is the ability to tolerate uncertainty. Because you see, most people are very chaotic, or not chaotic, but they're kind of lost because they cannot deal with uncertainty. They want to be certain. They want to know. And I'm saying for you to be able to find that balance, to center yourself even when everyone is losing their mind, You have to be okay with uncertainty. You have to be okay with not knowing. And that is something that you have to practice. Like, you have to let go of this idea that I want things to be certain. Let go of all of that, because you won't have it. And that is really what contributes to this feeling of anxiousness and people feeling like they're losing their minds. And in that sense, also developing, like a tolerance for instability, because uncertainty and instability, they go hand in hand. When things are uncertain outside, your life becomes very unstable. So you have to also train yourself to do calm decision making in ambiguity. So you have to be able to still make decisions calmly, even when things are not certain. Like, it looks like it could go this way or this way. I'm not really sure, but I'm still able to make a decision. And that is really kind of like the world that you are preparing for. That's very important. Because in all of this, if you achieve it, it means that not just that you are developing agency and you are transitioning to self-autonomy, but you are becoming like a fully integrated person that can act in any environment, no matter what you throw at the person, at them. They're prepared, they're ready. They don't know, they don't have everything right now, but they can build tools, they can build their own solutions. And that's really the person that you have to become. And we spoke about judgment and sense making, as in, like, most people don't really think about themselves. Well, you need to develop exactly that. You need to learn and practice how to think for yourself. And that doesn't mean that, I'm not going to listen to anyone, I'm just going to listen to myself. No, I'm saying get input, select for high quality input, select for signal, stay away from noise. But at the same time, always put this in perspective into your mental understanding, into your mental map. What do I think about it? And always considering with yourself and see where things go. Because that's really the skill that will have you to go through all of this. No matter what happens, good or bad, up and down, if you can think for yourself, you are ahead of 99% of the people. That is definitely, it's a guarantee. And in that, it's also a matter of learning how to prioritize. You see, just thinking to yourself, it's kind of like a bit ambiguous. But sometimes you are going to need to prioritize information. You might get this input and you get this input and they look kind of like the same, but you have to develop this sense of like, wait, what is more important? What has more weight? What has a priority here? Prioritizing is really a super skill, because it helps you to make distinctions. When everything looks the same, you're going to be the person who goes like, look, I know that people are saying this is important and this is important and this is important, and everyone kind of is like, I guess you can go this way or this way. But because I know how to prioritize, I think this one is the most important. And here is why. You can really point exactly why a choice would be more high priority than others, because now you are able to see more, you are going to be able to understand more, you can go deeper than most people, and this is how you can make distinctions. So at the end of it, what really you have to become the person that not just that you think to yourself and you are able to actually prioritize things, but eventually you have to decide for yourself what matters in noise. When you're bombarded with all sorts of noise from all directions, what matters? That decision lies on you. Nobody else can decide for you what really matters. You can hear opinions, you can hear me, you can hear other people, you can read books, you can listen to podcasts, but at the end of the day, what really matters and meaning making is entirely onto you. And the last one, which is super important, it's stay sharp, stay awake, and develop self-awareness. And not just self-awareness, but also situational awareness. Situational awareness means I'm aware of myself, I'm aware of what's going on, and I have almost like a 360 view onto present.